Karen Clabough serves as VolCorp's Vice President of Project Management. In her role, Karen combines her passion for the credit union movement with her transformational leadership skills to help create and execute VolCorp's strategic initiatives. Karen has been at VolCorp since 2005, where she's spent most of her career in operations, specializing in payment systems and emerging payment technologies. Karen attended Ole Miss, where she earned her bachelor's degree in journalism with a focus on broadcast news. In 2018, Karen earned her MBA from the Fogelman College of Business and Economics at the University of Memphis. Karen also holds a certificate in project management from Villanova University. Karen works hard but plays even harder. Outside the office, she enjoys the great outdoors, where she spends time hiking trails throughout Tennessee, kayaking local rivers, exploring back roads on her motorcycle, and staying ahead at heart. Please welcome Karen Clabough.
Good morning. Wade told me please stay away from the stage until the video was finished, but then I had to run up the ramp, so sorry about that. So good to see you all. I'm so happy that we're all back in person and seeing some familiar faces after way too long. I'm one of those people that when I get somebody a gift, I cannot wait to give it to them. Like if it's Christmas, they'll probably get the gift around December 4th because I'm so excited to give them the perfect thing. And that's a little bit how I'm feeling today because we have so much exciting stuff going on at VolCorp, and I want to share as much as I can with you. Jeff alluded yesterday during his president's address that we have some things that we're not quite ready to talk about yet, but we have so much that we can. So I just want to jump into that. But first, I have a personal story. This is a picture taken about 20 years ago. I am in this picture. I'm on the front row, the one with the long, luscious brunette hair. That's me when I had hair. And I was about 19 or 20 years old in this picture. It was taken in my spring semester of 2002. And this is at Ole Miss. And as was mentioned in my intro, I was a journalism student. Ole Miss had, at that time, what was one of the only completely student-run news organizations in the country. So we did a daily live, completely student-run news broadcast. And I was a behind-the-scenes person, of course, but we were in charge of giving the news of North Mississippi to an area that probably covered maybe 10,000 people. So it wasn't like a big deal, but the fact that we were doing it, we felt like we were really doing something. But the reason this picture is significant is because of what it came after, which was the bombing of the September 11th attack. And we were all student journalists at this time. And we're used to just gathering, like literally ripping sheets off the AP printer, rewriting the stories, and broadcasting them. I mean, we weren't really doing news, we were repeating news. And September 11th was really a challenge for those of us who were learning how to be journalists and broadcasters during this time because everything changed. At that time, Rudy Giuliani 20 years ago is a lot different than Rudy Giuliani of today. So let's just remember who Rudy Giuliani was after the September 11th attack. I mean, he was the mayor of New York City. He was all over the world. Everybody wanted to talk to Rudy Giuliani. And this group of kids right here decided, why don't we talk to Rudy Giuliani? We had a production room where we had these big whiteboards and we would plot out our stories for the day, and the producers would get together and arrange it and figure out who we're going to have interviews with and all that kind of stuff. We erased an entire one of those boards and just wrote "Think Big" on it. And that just meant, go get Rudy Giuliani. Let's get an interview. We worked our butts off that semester, and we never interviewed Rudy Giuliani. But what we did do was all come together with this passion. We were new people after this. We all were new people after September 11th, but this group of people became a new group. We were all working in the same direction towards the same thing, And even if we didn't get the biggest of the big, we were doing big things. So, of course, I graduated and I became a credit union person. It's a completely logical jump. But luckily, I still get to use that little bit of passion for journalism for standing up here and talking in front of you today. So let's talk about VolCorp, because this story resonated with me because it's happening at VolCorp. There we go. So I found this quote and it linked to me 20 years ago and it's linking to VolCorp right now. Business is about people, it's about passion, it's about bold ideas, bold small ideas and bold large ideas. And when we sat down together last summer to do our strategic planning, we had our board and our management in a room, and we asked our board a question. What should we aspire to be? Who should VolCorp be? And I took a photo of this because the first thing that came up was bold, and it wasn't just bold, it's bold exclamation point. So we had a lot of work to do. As you all have, VolCorp has been through a lot. I've been at the corporate for 16 years, and during that time, we've had 2 mergers. We've had a failed merger. We had the economic crisis, and surely there are things that I've just blocked from memory because it's been a long 16 years. We were just sort of self-preservation mode, and we hadn't taken a lot of bold steps during that time. But we heard loud and clear from from our board who represents you that we need to be bold. So our strategic plan for 2021 was called a call to action, and this was something for each and every one of us within the organization. A call to action, to be bold. And if Jeff Mary's in the room, Jeff, are you in the room? Jeff, do you recognize this quote? Okay. We have a marketing closet at VolCorp, and I was digging through it, and it's almost like a time capsule of like meeting materials from the past. And I found a big board with this quote on it, and it had a logo from probably, I don't know, 2010-ish. I don't know, Jeff, when was that from? 2006, okay. And at the top of this board, this was the quote that was printed there. And at some point in 2006, this was really important to VolCorp. The quality of the strategy is less important than the ability to execute it. We all make strategies. We all have strategic planning sessions. We have this little piece of paper that we print out, and maybe we follow it and maybe we don't. It's supposed to guide us. And remember, our strategy is a call to action. So how do we execute? Well, we've done a lot. Jeff alluded yesterday to we've done some cultural changes at the corporate. Another thing that we did was we've done a major reorg. We've also done, we've had several additions to staff, and this, what you see here is representative of some of the things that we've changed. So we have now an executive vice president and chief operating officer. That was a position that we'd had open for a while. We added a chief experience officer in Christina Adkison. I was plucked out of operations and put down into a role of vice president of project management, and so that we can make sure that there's oversight of everything we're doing from a single place within the enterprise. We've also added regional development executives, a member experience liaison, a senior business analyst, some IT folks. Some of these people we hired like last week just so I'd have things to put on this slide. So, I mean, we're continuing to add to staff. Our staff numbers have been pretty static for some time, and now we're bulking up staff in areas that really need it, where we can really deliver the most we can to the membership. We also, as you know, underwent rebranding. We started this initiative before COVID and kind of had to figure out how we're going to pull this off when everyone's at home. And so we've had this sort of evolution in our logos over the years. We've stepped away from that V a little bit, because VolCorp is, while we are, obviously, we're headquartered in Tennessee here, we're so much more than Tennessee. And Tennessee is just, obviously, it's vital to us, but we've expanded and we're in more than 20 states. We've added the West Virginia and the Kentucky credit unions. And so we wanted to make sure that we're not solely representing Tennessee with the orange. I'm sorry. But we came out with what appears to be a much more bold and modern branding. While we were at it, we came up with this really awesome QSO, and the design for the QSO was part of this as well. So that was sort of our first step forward, saying, you know, we're going to become a new VolCorp, and this is what we're going to look like. Pretty soon, we're going to be launching our new website, and this is what it looks like. Our homepage is currently our old branding. It's been a very, very long endeavor to try to get this website going. But as you can see, I've scrolled through here and you see what our new website looks like. Don't have the exact date, but this is coming very soon. We're very excited to launch our new website. The next thing is Symphony, of course. You've heard a little bit about Symphony in a couple of different presentations. Symphony was a QSO that was launched. I mean, it has its mission statement here. Let us navigate the hurdles of operating the credit union. You focus on your members. Let us help you with the hurdles. So we're offering enterprise risk consulting, business continuity consulting, supervisory committee audits, and then what you just heard from SCA, vendor contract negotiation. So Symphony was launched January of 2021. What a time to launch a new company. And it has hit the ground running, and we are so excited for the momentum that Symphony has gained. Christina Adkisson, as you met her earlier, Chief Experience Officer, is also the president and CEO of Symphony. She has so much experience in credit unions and has done a fantastic job of leading the charge to get the QSO running. We're so proud to bring to you Symphony, Instruments for Success. So now I'm going to get into a little bit of nitty gritty stuff, some things we've been working on behind the scenes. You know, corporate credit unions are sort of a weird place. If you work in a natural person's credit union, as you all do, you have a little bit of an edge in a way, because there are companies that make software exactly for your needs. And there are not companies that make software exactly for a corporate credit union's needs, where it just doesn't exist. So if we want it, most of the time we have to build it. So we built the safekeeping platform a couple of years ago and pushed it out. And this past summer, we took the initiative, we rebranded safekeeping. We've added Jennifer Smith here in the front of the room. Sorry, Jennifer. Jennifer is the director of our operations department and led the charge to get the safekeeping system rebranded, also bringing in some new enhancements, some user capabilities, and just making the system overall a little bit easier to use. So we're excited to announce the safekeeping system has been launched in the summer. It's live now. And so those of you who do use it, I hope that you've seen this and you're enjoying the new look and feel of the safekeeping system. I have to turn to my notes now, because if any of you know Cassie Fivecoat in investments, she's watching me to make sure I say the right things. So this is the one time I will read to you today. V-Portfolio. This is, if Philip Cochran is in the room, I can't see you, but Philip had this idea for this thing called well, I don't even know if it had a name at the time, but basically it's a bespoke investments solution for credit unions. And nothing exists like this. And Philip and his team, Cassie, Ivan, and James, have continued to bring value to V-Portfolio by listening to what the members are saying, getting feedback, and kind of anticipating your needs as well. So let me tell you a little bit about what we've done here. So this is the homepage of V-Portfolio. It shows you the new branding, the new look and feel for the platform. This was launched in summer of 2021. VolCorp has kind of shifted from the old-fashioned method of build it, build it, build it, build it, and then release it. And we're kind of going into the more agile methodology of build it, release it, build it, release it. So you get a little bit of value all along the way. And that's what we've been doing here. So in addition to just the new look and feel, we've got the what if mode. So Philip spent a lot of time today talking about ladders and what your ladder looks like. And I don't know, Philip, this isn't a mullet. What would we call this? I don't know. What do we call this, Philip? It's just a great ladder. Okay. Well, so what we've done here is a couple of cool things. This is in a what if mode. So let's say that we have a five-year maturity ladder. You've got this gap and you want to put something there. So how do we fill this gap? If I'm a vPortfolio user and I can't see the dates on there, but if I were to click on a gap in my ladder, it would automatically filter out everything else and just show you the investments that fit in that gap. The other thing is that if you are playing around with what ifs and saying, what if I buy this? Then the agency composition radial graph there on the right is another addition where when you're adding things to your what if model, that agency composition will in real time adjust so that you see how that will affect your composition. Pretty cool. We also have the ability to really drill down into very specific criteria to help fill your ladder. So you can click or unclick and, it's like going on Amazon and drilling down until you get that very specific thing you're looking for. You can do that here with the portfolio as well. So we also have the ability to, we've added the ability for you to pull any of your investment agreements directly from the platform now. We also are storing a lot of other documents, reports, and reports such as trade tickets, simplicity statements, bond accounting reports, etc. So the vPortfolio system has been enhanced just from top to bottom, bringing all kinds of new capabilities that are really value add for you if you're using vPortfolio. And if you're not, Philip and Cassie are always so excited. They love demoing it. It's like taking out their toys and showing it to people. It's show and tell. So some other things that are on vPortfolio now, you'll have the ability to see trades awaiting settlement and trades that you've purchased that have not yet settled are factored into your maturity ladder and your agency composition and such, so that even though this hasn't settled, I don't own it yet, I can see what it's going to look like as soon as it does settle, so I'm not accidentally refilling in places that were empty in my ladder before. We're also offering notifications for pending and settled safekeeping transactions. Market rates are continually updated throughout the day. And finally, you have the ability to print this what if scenario prior to making the purchase. So if you do all this work and you filter all your criteria and you've filled these points in your ladder and you just want to print that out and take it and show it to someone and say, what do you think? Heck, pull it up and call us. Philip wants to tell you what he thinks. So I'm hoping that these are kind of things that will help you in your shop. And because we are continuing to look for value to bring to this, I hope that you will give us the feedback if you're seeing anything in any of these offerings that we can do to improve your experience. All right, the next thing. We talked about little bold and big bold and just bold. This is little bold, but I hope it'll be impactful. I don't know how many of you in the room today use our monthly or weekly statements, our account statements. Periodic statements could not be less boring, but when they look this bad, you can make it look a lot better. So I got page 1 of a current VolCorp statement next to page 1 of a brand new VolCorp statement. We have gotten rid of a lot of just noise and not unnecessary information, and we're bringing what you need to know to the first page. So we're just going to have overviews of your accounts, information, total debits, total credits, dividends, that kind of thing on the first page. Secondly, this is just a generic transaction listing. It's always been a pet peeve of mine how difficult that is to read, and there are no commas and there are no periods and there are no, like, you have to have a ruler and slide it down your page, and I see people nodding their heads because it's the truth. So it's going to look like this. We've got banded rows, so maybe your eye can follow across without having to like print it and use a ruler. Debits are going to be on the left and credits are going to be on the right, and this is so small but it's so big. Am I right? So I hope that this will really help your people in the back office who use these statements. And the great news is this is launching September 1st. So your next statement will be the new version. Okay, so what else have we been doing? Jennifer, again, Jennifer Smith, our Director of Operations. She is, if anyone in the VolCorp knows checks, it's Jennifer. So Jennifer is our, I don't know the terminology, nationally certified check professional. So if there's check stuff to be talked about, Jennifer talk about it. But we you know, checks are kind of a bread and butter thing for VolCorp, and yeah, they're declining, but they're not done, and we're still processing checks like you wouldn't believe. So we wanted to enhance the offerings that we have around our check products. A lot of credit unions are still using checks our members are still using checks as a primary form of payment, which, you know, it might boggle some of our minds, but it is the truth. And so we want to make sure that what we have to support our check processing is the best that it can be, and we are bringing the value again to you. So our check adjustment system, our web adjustments, what we call it, we've rebranded. It's the one in the background, and it's not out yet, but we are adding some capabilities. For example, today in the check adjustment system, you can only request a share draft adjustment. So that means one of your members' checks cleared for the wrong amount. You can go to web adjustment and create an adjustment for that type. In the past, though, we've not had the ability to create check collection adjustments. That's been a more manual process. Either you're communicating that to us by phone or by email or some other method. But we are enhancing the system so that now credit unions will be able to request check collection adjustments through the web adjustment system. So what that means is if you're say your member brings a check in for $100 and the teller goes to the scanner and scans it for $10 and realizes it after they've already sent it to VolCorp, they can come here and go ahead and request that adjustment. And just like that, we'll make that adjustment so much easier than it has been in the past. Secondly, we have here in the foreground of this slide, on demand, which a lot of credit unions use to submit share draft returns, stop payments, account closures, all those kind of things. So on demand is a very old application, and so we are completely modernizing it. It's actually so old that right now you have to change your Internet Explorer settings to get it to run, and it won't run in Chrome, and it won't run in Firefox or Safari. But very soon, within fourth quarter, we'll have all this out to you. Okay, here's one more time I need to read off my notes. Asset liability management. Christina talked about this morning in the balance sheet discussion about actually using your ALM reports. And so to make the ALM reports useful to you, we needed to redesign our report package. And Christina's working right now, and we don't have it to show you yet, but in fourth quarter, our ALM packet will be completely redesigned, and the intention is to help the end user understand changes within the risk profile from prior model runs. So the bottom line is it tells the story of the credit union's interest rate risk. So if you're an ALM client, be looking for that. If you have ALM on your mind and you'd just like to see what we have to offer, give us a call. Christina would be glad to, I'm sure, show you what will be coming as soon as that is available. All right, so this is like the Christmas present that I get excited about. VolCorp Online, this is the biggest project I will work on during my time at VolCorp, probably. We've got a multi-pronged project with VolCorp Online. And this also goes back to what I was saying about nobody writes corporate credit union software, so we've got to do it ourselves. And it's probably why we haven't done it in a long time. It's a lot of work. The first thing we're going to talk about is access management. This is huge. VolCorp wrote its own access management, if you will, which is how do you log into VolCorp Online? And those of you who use VolCorp Online or have used it in the past, you know that you are assigned a user ID and a password, and it's not easy to remember, and you're probably saving it in your browser. And if you're doing that, then we've just shot ourselves in the foot as far as helping you protect your data and your members' data. So what we did, because we want the best when it comes to security, we've chosen Okta, which is, you can see here in Gartner's Magic Quadrant, they're one of the leaders in the industry. So it's this quote's from the Gartner report, it's one of the most matured and advanced access management tools in the market. So what this will do, in addition to completely securing the system to our best capabilities so that your data, and again, your members' data, is protected, but it also is going to give us more capabilities as far as how you authenticate with us. And pretty soon, we're going to be actually sending out a survey to every credit union so that we have an idea of what environment that you're in, because we want to make sure that we're building the architecture around what your credit union's capabilities are. So things like what browsers you use. Do you use password managers? Do you have, like, what types of multi-factor authentication do you like? Do you like cell phone? Do you like token? Do you like, a text? Do you want an app on your phone? Whatever it may be. So we want to take all that into consideration because this is where we're going. We've actually kicked this off and we're starting architecture discussions next week. So this is very exciting, and this will have a huge impact to your credit union. We'll also be making sure that we're including some self-service tools when we do roll this out. So things like password resets, things of that nature that should help your credit union or the employees at your credit union. So the second thing is user experience. I'm just using this as an example. This is just ideas right now. So don't expect that you're going to see this exact thing down the road, but it may be close. So using our corporate share drafters report as an example, what you'll see here, I pulled this report this week. This is a credit union's corporate share drafts. It's static information on a page. That's not really where we want to be. We want to have usable, actionable information for you. So let's say I'm a credit union and I go in and I want to know something about that first check on the list. If I want to see a copy of that check, I have to leave this report. I might write down that trace number, or I might print this report out or something. But I'll go from here into Access ImageNet. I'll pull up that copy of that check. Well, what if I realize while I'm in Access ImageNet, this check cleared for a different amount than I asked for, than I wrote this check for? So then I'm going to leave Access ImageNet and I'm going to go to Web Adjustments. So we're kind of dropping you from place to place to place, and it's not a very seamless experience. So the things that we're imagining are that, we'll change the report so it looks cleaner. We'll have the new branding. Okay, we're good. This is still information on the page, but what if we gave you the ability to click on it? Then you have the image right here in front of you. What if you want to make an adjustment? Do it. It's right here. So we want to take all the things that you're doing within a system, and instead of making you go here for this information and there for the next piece and then somewhere else for another, we want to bring it all together to you so it's all seamless and makes your job so much easier and so much more efficient. This is going to be a very long project. And as I said, you can see here, we've got mock-ups. These are wireframes from actual work that we're doing right now. But again, we've got a multi-pronged approach here that we've got to take care of all these things. And there are so many things that live inside VolCorp Online. But the great news is that you're going to start seeing this in the beginning of 2022. So I'm going to kind of transition away from work I can show you to the things Jeff yesterday said we're not quite ready to tell you about. When he said that, I was like, I have slides in my presentation. So I'm going to talk about it, but I'm not going to tell you anything. Okay, so the payment space, this is kind of my passion. I love payments. We are so connected into what's going on in payments right now. Payments is evolving so quickly. There's so many offerings, and it's really difficult to kind of weed through everything that's out there and seeing what your competitors are offering and deciding if that's where you need to be. Do your members even want that? So we're a member, we're actually a founding member of the US Faster Payments Council. We are one of about 120 institutions that are participating in the FedNow pilot program. And we're also a member of Not Just Payments Innovation Alliance. Now, while I can't tell you exactly what we're doing yet, I will tell you that we have goals that are guiding our decisions in the payments area. So the first one is huge, which is we want to eliminate disintermediation by fintechs and banks, which means that it plays right into that second bullet point. We want to make sure those transactions are coming through you. We want to make sure that the data associated with those transactions remains at the credit union. You know, the transaction is one thing and the data is another, and together there's so much value that to you that they need to stay at the credit union. We also want to make sure that we offer you modern and attractive payment solutions that you can provide to your members. Next, this one's a big one, and this has been a challenge for a lot of service providers, which is getting to the core. We need to be able to get to the core so that, well, first of all, it just speeds up things in the background for your staff, but also this core connectivity will be required for true faster payments, such as FedNow when it comes around, or the real-time payments network, if you're familiar with that, that's already in existence. So we will ensure that we have core connectivity so that, to that last bullet point, when FedNow launches in 2023, we'll be ready to launch, and so will you if you want to be. So VolCorp views FedNow as the, how can I say this? The most equitable faster payment solution in the network. Real-time payments offered by the clearinghouse is owned by a bunch of big banks. Zelle is owned by a bunch of big banks. Venmo or PayPal, it's disintermediation. So we want to make sure that you have what you need for your members. And VolCorp believes that FedNow is the right thing for that. All right, the next thing is data analytics. Another thing that Jeff said we probably shouldn't talk about yet, but VolCorp has partnered with TIBCO. We actually started conversations with them before the pandemic started, and we signed an agreement with TIBCO. So they're actually the ones that are creating our new statements. So they've taken all of our data and just made it pretty. But at the same time, with all this data that we're giving them to create these statements, we're creating a data repository, which will enable us to glean insights from transaction data from your statements. That's just very, very high level of the things that we are going to do. It's just the tip of the iceberg, because we're thinking about what other data can we bring in and couple with statement data to provide valuable insights to you at the credit union. So this is a very early look at what we're doing with TIBCO, but just know that there's more to come. So with that, I hope that you see that we are living out our call to action for 2021. We're doing what we can to take small, bold steps. And even though I can't talk about it, we're taking some large, bold steps. And that picture I showed you of all those 20-year-olds piled up on a news set in Mississippi, I felt so proud then, and I felt like I was part of something really exciting. And when I see what VolCorp has done in the last 18 months in the middle of a pandemic, I know we're fulfilling that mission. The call to action is working, and we are 40 years old. Thank you.